how do you deal with the costs of acquiring customers in your small business or your startup? This video actually comes out of a question that I got from a reader. They basically asked this question: how do you deal with customer acquisition costs in a startup? And I wanted to expand it kind of to small businesses, but also address the entrepreneurs in my audience and talk about it from both perspectives. You're starting a new business, or you just have a small business, and you want to make sure that your money is being spent wisely when going through this sometimes difficult process of acquiring new customers. Now, for this, I actually want to pull from three sources. I want to pull from Dan Kennedy, widely considered one of the biggest marketing gurus, experts, whatever, direct marketing experts in the last few decades, and Michael Masterson, also known as Mark Ford, actually from his book Ready, Fire, Aim, where he talks about the four stages or phases that a business goes through, starting with the 0 to 1 million range, where you're starting a business and you are really trying to figure this question out, figuring out customer acquisition costs. And then I want to share some of my own experience, some of my own takeaways from starting my own businesses. So how do you deal with customer acquisition costs in a small business or startup? Well, first, I really want to lean into an idea that I got from Dan Kennedy. And I don't remember which speech or program or newsletter or book or whatever that I got this from. But he made mention once that while he has spent a lot of money acquiring businesses and starting businesses, eventually he got to the point where he did not want to start any new business if he wasn't able to test it for $5,000 or less, and determine that it was going to be an effective, a profitable business to start. And I think that even if you are involved with a startup that raises a lot of investor capital, this attitude serves you well, because I have seen way too many startups who've been flush with cash, who just received investor funds coming out their bank accounts. And what ends up happening in these businesses, if they don't adopt this attitude, this like lean, mean, business generating machine attitude, is that they end up in a situation where they're spending money and they get really good at spending money in their business, but they're not really good at making money or turning investments into a profit. And I've seen, I was just looking at a local startup, and I won't go into details about this company, but I was just looking at a local startup, and I opened up their page on, I think it was Crunchbase, which tracks investments, private investments in small businesses. And it looks like even though this company is successful and they have a nice office in town and they have a big staff and all of that, they're continuing to have to raise money 5-6 years into the business, which is really disturbing to me, because any business that is 5 years in, perhaps there is an explicit, specific expansion effort that they have put in place that requires them to go out and acquire funds, maybe so that they can invest in something else. But the reality is that with a lot of startups, they get into this cycle of, if we just raise a little bit more money, we can grow and eventually we'll become profitable. If we raise a little bit more money, we can grow and eventually we'll become profitable. And honestly, early participants in that can make out like bandits, the founders of the company, some of the early employees that get stock options, the earliest investors who are seeing the company grow in valuation. But unfortunately, what ends up happening with a lot of these companies is that they grow and grow and grow and just keep losing more and more money. And I don't like that business model. That doesn't resonate well with me. And so I would much rather back an entrepreneur or be an entrepreneur who says, okay, is this a business that I can test for 5,000 or less? Is this a business that I can test for 10,000 or less? Is this a business that I can put a little bit of money in to see if I can get some traction so that I can then turn around and either use that money to reinvest, use the revenue generated to reinvest and grow the business from there, which is very possible in a lot of information marketing niches or service business niches, where you're your cost of delivering the goods is fairly low and the potential margin is very high. That's very possible in a business like that. And I tend to favor businesses like that. But even if you were selling like a physical good, perhaps there's a way to test the business by selling somebody else's product. You can test the market. You can figure out if the market really resonates, or maybe there's some other method that you can use to test the market for a very low cost before you get into the situation where you've sunk $1 million, $2 million, $10 million of your money or investors' money into this business and figured out, oh, geez, there's no actual way to acquire customers at a reasonable rate here, and this business is destined for failure. So I recognize, yes, there are lots of businesses that have a lot of capital investment that don't necessarily fit that model. But with a little bit of creativity, you may be able to apply the principle of what is the fastest way that we can figure out if this is self-sustaining, and what is the least amount of money that we can invest in testing in order to figure out if we can acquire customers at again, a self-sustaining rate. So let's turn then to Michael Masterson, Mark Ford. He is a partner in one of the biggest direct response businesses today. He's widely regarded as one of the most influential copywriting and business building teachers, direct marketing teachers, again, like Dan Kennedy, but he's been involved in some different businesses as well. He's also published a number of best-selling books. And he wrote this book called Ready, Fire, Aim, which talks about the 4 phases of growing a business from 0 to 1 million, 1 million to 10 million, and 10 million to 100 million, and then beyond 100 million. And at this point, he is a partner in a business. And actually, the book is largely about the different businesses under this umbrella that's now doing over $1 billion a year in revenue. And his emphasis on that first growth period from 0 to 1 million is all about what can you do to figure out, again, how to acquire customers, how to make the first sale to a customer at break even or better. Now, there's overhead costs and there's lots of costs associated with starting a business. He says keep those as low as possible early on, or until you really have this one thing dialed in. And once you have this one thing dialed in, there's other things that you can do beyond that. But really, the first thing that any business needs to do to ensure success, and those milestones of 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, those are, as he says in the book, not applicable to all businesses. Your milestones may look a little bit different, but the phases are fundamentally the same. The first thing that you need to do is devote nearly all your effort in starting a business to figuring out how to sell one thing at break even or better. And he has a couple of recommendations along those lines. First off, he says, as the founder of the business, you should be able to sell your idea, and you should be able to acquire customers through word of mouth. Now, that may not be an efficient way. It may not be a scalable way to actually go out and acquire customers, but you should be able to acquire customers by having conversations, by talking about, hey, you have this problem and I've actually created a solution for this problem. I understand the problem. I understand how painful it can be to be dealing with this problem. And in fact, either I had experience with it or I saw people that it personally touched me where I wanted to create a solution to this problem or find a solution. And so here's the solution that I've put together. Here's why it's superior to other solutions. And this is like the founder story, the inventor story, right? And I would like to offer you this solution. So you should be fundamentally familiar with your sales story. Go out and do that sales story. Tell that sales story a whole bunch of times. And once you really have it honed in and you're actually getting people who are like, yes, I gotta get my hands on that. What you then do is you take that, you can record it, and that's actually a Gary Halbert trick. You take that, you can record it, and you transcribe it. And you turn that into some kind of marketing. You could turn that transcription into the outline for a webinar or a video sales letter or some other sales presentation, some other marketing presentation, depending on your market, on your offer, on how you're able to reach them, on what media you're using. Obviously, all of that can vary. But what doesn't vary is you understand the fundamental story of like why your product was created in the first place, why it's appealing, why it's a superior solution to your market. And you should be able to tell that as the founder of the business and really hone in on what is that story? What is the story that I need to tell that gets people to actually then purchase my product? And once you understand that, once you package it, and again, like I said, like that's an old Gary Halbert trick. You sit down and you record yours or your best salesperson's presentation, and maybe record 10 of them and find that common thread, that common element, the common sales story that's told over and over again, and figure out how to then transcribe that, capture it, clone it, and scale it through marketing. And when you can do that, when you can make that first sale, and when you can make it effectively and efficiently, and then when you can figure out what media you can buy, how you can get it in front of customers in a very effective, scalable way, then you take that and you can then scale the business from there. And again, like following that Dan Kennedy principle, use very, very small tests to determine, does this work? Okay, if I tweak this, does this work? Like use the minimum size test that you can to actually get a number or an indicator of validity of the tests. And actually that goes all the way back to Claude Hopkins. I mean, we're pulling from many of the greatest minds in advertising here. Claude Hopkins, in scientific advertising, he actually said, you should not ever scale any advertising campaign that you haven't first proven in a small test. And this was coming from the 1920s, 1930s, from very, very early direct response advertising, at least as we think of it today. And he was saying, you can test in one city before you roll out to the nation. And you can figure out if this generates sales in one city before you roll out to a nationwide campaign. And I think a mistake that a lot of small business owners make is they see these big businesses and they see these great branding ads and these great image ads, and they think, oh, if only I could advertise like, I don't know, McDonald's or Nike or whatever, right? These image brands. And maybe there's an image brand in your space. Maybe it's a specific national or international bank, or maybe it's whatever image brand. If only I could advertise like them, then I'm going to attract customers because they're going to say, oh, this is a cool brand, right? But the reason that those advertisements work is that they spend a fortune to get it out to everybody over and over and over again until their brand becomes incredibly recognizable. And as a small business, as a startup, you don't have that liberty. What you need to do is you need to figure out how you can send out one piece of marketing or one sequence of marketing that goes out and that brings a customer back in at break even or better. And oftentimes that's going to involve finding early adopters. That's going to involve finding the hottest segment of your market and really targeting them to figure out how to build your business in the beginning. And then as you grow, you may be able to do other things. Yeah, branding can play a role later, but that fundamental like direct response attitude, how can I spend $1 on my advertising? Like this relentless pursuit of the answer to this question. How can I spend $1 on my advertising and have it bring back a new customer who spends at least $1 or perhaps more with my business? Like, how can I do that? And then my personal Roy Furr's contribution to this conversation is that one of the ways that you can really maximize this, one of the ways that you can really make the most of this, is to not think about your one product or your one offer as like the one thing that you need to do, but think about your offer economics. Think about, okay, what can I do that's going to completely shift the economics of this customer acquisition? If I have a consumable product, maybe normally I would think of selling it as a single, but maybe there's a way to sell it as a 3-pack or a 6-pack, and give people the option, or give people the option to buy it and have it repeat. And those are very common offers in the supplement space, like buy 1, buy 3, buy 6, buy a subscription to all of them, right? Or I offer one thing, and then after that, I offer something much bigger that only a percentage of people are going to take me up on, but that percentage of people is going to significantly shift the economics. So if I sell a $100 product and a $1,000 product, and I'm doing the math in my head here, if 1/5 of the people who take the $100 product also take the $1,000 product, so 1 in 5, suddenly every $100 sale is worth an extra $200, so $300, and it completely changes the entire economics of your customer acquisition efforts. So looking for high price opportunities, looking for upsell opportunities, looking for tiered opportunities. Now it's easy in doing this to like get pulled in all sorts of directions, and you do have to be careful about that. It's really best if you can focus on like acquiring customers for that first sale at a profit, and making it still about focusing on the one core sale, making it still about focusing on your one core offer. And when you can do that, and when you figure out the economics that actually make it work, not thinking about, how can I acquire customers for my $5 product at less than $5, but how can I make my $5 product the entry point for a customer relationship that's very quickly worth $50, $100, $1,000, whatever it is. Like how can I figure out the economics of my offer and my customer acquisition efforts so that I'm not actually worried about spending less to get a customer, but I'm thinking about ways that I can make myself able to spend more to get a customer. That's going to be a big breakthrough in terms of dealing with customer acquisition costs. If you are in a small business or if you're in a startup, figuring out ways that you can provide more value to the customer, starting with that very first transaction and what comes immediately after. And it's going to make it much easier for you to manage customer acquisition costs because you're going to actually just have a lot more money that you can spend to get them. And that really does change everything. So if you have found this valuable, if you want more content on marketing, copywriting, business building, internet marketing funnels, like small business, startups, entrepreneurship, that sort of thing, that's actually what I do at Breakthrough Marketing Secrets and through my videos. You can like this video so you can tell the algorithms that you want to see more videos from me. And more videos like this. You can comment and engage with the video so I can share more content with you. You can subscribe. You can subscribe to my videos. You can also go to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com to subscribe to my daily emails. And be sure to also share this video with people who you think would find it valuable. Now, I'm on a mission to help more entrepreneurs and other high achievers live happier, healthier, more prosperous and impactful lives. And if your business is creating a positive impact in your world and on the world at large, I want to help you through more effective marketing and business growth strategies. So I would love to have you at Breakthrough Marketing Secrets and watching all my videos. So with that, I'm Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets, answering the question for customers, how to deal with customer acquisition costs in a small business or startup, with inspiration from Dan Kennedy, Michael Masterson, myself, and also we threw in some Gary Halbert and Claude Hopkins as well. And I hope that you found this valuable, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video. See you soon. Bye.